Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Prank Kids Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for December 2018. Wanted to bring you all an update to this deck profile, which I've done actually pretty recently, just because Prank Kids received more support from the Soul Fusion Special Edition in the form of Prank Kid Roxy's, which is an awesome new Prank Kid monster, which I think the biggest thing that this deck just needs was obviously more Prank Kid monsters to work with the other ones. The deck is a lot of fun, doing a lot of different plays via fusion summoning, link summoning, and then just using all the different spell or traps they have with the different special summoning you can do with all the different Prank Kids monsters. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, just like last time, still run the 3 Prank Kid Lampsies. You want to run full max monsters for all the different Prank Kids. They all have special summon effects and other different effects. For the example of Lampsies, if this card is sent to the graveyard as material for the fusion or link summon of a Prank Kid monster, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Then you can special summon 1 Prank Kids monster from your hand or deck in defense, except for Lampsies. You can only use this effect of Lampsies once per turn, but the special summon and the burn damage all work very well together, just for extending your plays more and more. Whether you use Lampsy for a fusion summon or a link summon, you name it, you'll always have monsters to go into otherwise. Same goes for the other ones, including 3 Prank Kid Dropsies. Dropsies, if it's sent to the graveyard for a fusion or link summon of a Prank Kid monster, you can gain 1,000 life points and then special summon 1 Prank Kid monster from your hand or deck in defense, except for Dropsies, and the same once per turn effect. So more of a life point gain effect. Fire does the burn damage, water does the healing. Pretty standard there with these cards. I also run 3 Prank Kid Fansies, probably the best one of the 3, just for the fact if this card is sent to the graveyard as material for the fusion or link summon of a Prank Kids monster, you can send 1 Prank Kids card from your deck to the graveyard, except for Prank Kid Fansies. Then you can special summon 1 Prank Kids monster from your hand or deck in defense, except for Fansies, and you can only use this effect once per turn. It's great for that setup because of the fact that you can send a Prank Kid spell or trap and then re-add it back with the link monster to reuse, so it's basically extended searcher that you can rely on with all your other different cards. So very, very helpful for sure. And spoke about him enough. The new one is Prank Kid Roxy's, the level 4 Prank Kid monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion or link summon of a Prank Kids monster, you can banish 1 card from your hand, and if you do, draw 1 card. Then you can special summon 1 Prank Kids monster from your hand or deck in defense. You can only use the effect of Roxy once per turn. So this one just helps for consistency. If you have cards in your hand you can't really make use of, Roxy's banish draw definitely does come in handy overall. You know, I guessed for the longest time it would be a special summon effect, but Prank Kid's already special summon, so for the Earth attribute Prank Kid monster, I think this effect is definitely well suited for this card for sure. And for backup monsters, I also run 3 King of the Swamps, pretty standard just for the fact that it can substitute for one of the Prank Kids when you use it for going into Battle Butler, but it's also a search for Polymerization, which is a good key fusion spell to use in the deck, so being able to search it with this card also definitely does help for sure. And lastly, I run 3 Ash Blossoms. I normally don't go with the Ash Blossom route in the deck. I usually like to remain as budget as I can, but this is a deck I will be using at locals, so I wanted to show just what I'm going full power with at locals with this deck. If you don't have Ash Blossom, you can obviously substitute this card in for Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre, you name it. If you don't want to go a hand trap route, you can even try Elemental Hero Prisma for the send effect. For the Prank Kids, you obviously won't get their special summon, but you'll set them up in the graveyard to reuse with it. So just remember that. Prisma definitely can come in handy for that option if you want to replace the hand trap option in total with this deck. I just wanted to run a good amount of monsters in this deck in total with all the other Prank Kid monsters, just to have a good ratio and balance between these spell and traps. And I thought the hand traps definitely did come in handy for sure. And that is it for the monsters for the deck. We'll now move on to the spells. Finally got my 3 Prank Kids place. I know I lacked this card during the last deck profile, but very happy that I have all 3 now for the deck profile. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Prank Kids monster from your deck to your hand. You can once per turn, if you fusion summon a Prank Kids fusion monster, except during the damage step, you can have all monsters you control gain 500 attack, even if this card leaves the field. And once per turn, if you link summon a Prank Kids link monster, except during the damage step, you can have all monsters your opponent control lose 500 attack, even if this card leaves the field. You can only activate 1 Prank Kids place per turn, but a very good card for the fact that it gives you search, and it also takes care of just attack for your opponent, or even just boosts up your attack depending on what kind of summon you go for. Being able to search the Prank Kid monster can also be very helpful depending on what Prank Kid monsters you open up with in your hand, and maybe you need another one just to keep your plays going. Place definitely does help with that. I also run 3 Prank Kids Pandemonium. This is your quick play spell card. During the main phase, fusion summon 1 Prank Kids fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot normal or special summon monsters except for Prank Kids. It's a quick play spell, which is very, very helpful. All you have to do is activate it during the main phase, obviously, which doesn't limit you too much. Just remember, it says during the main phase, so you can still activate it, you know, in response, quick play wise, so definitely does come in handy. And it's also able to be sent to the graveyard, re-added back, like I said, with the Fansies play and your Link monsters. We'll get to that in a little bit. I run 2 Prank Kids Prank. I definitely probably want to bump this up to 3. I only had 2, sadly. I'll show what I would take out for a third one later on down the video. But it's very good. It gives you can discard 1 Prank Kids card to special summon 1 Prank Kids token, but it cannot be tributed during your end phase. You can target 3 Prank Kid cards in your graveyard except for Prank Kids Prank. Shuffle all 3 into the deck, then you draw 1 card. You can only use each effect of pranks once per turn. It adds consistency for your draw, and it also gives you that 1 token, which sometimes for the Link summon, if you don't want to go for the fusion and you prefer just to go for the Link because you don't have a fusion spell, this card can just help for that 1 token and then your additional Prank Kid monster for your summon. So very, very helpful for sure. And the shuffle back is just that extra bonus that definitely does come in handy. I also run 3 Polymerization. Getting your fusion plays, nonetheless, is still very, very important. So having this with Pandemonium just helps to guarantee that you will hit a fusion play. And the fact that you run King of the Swamps to search this out is just all that more helpful as well. And I also run 3 Instant Fusion. This is just to grab another monster target from your extra deck, basically. So you can go for any of the Prank Kid fusions that we run to go for of the level 5 or lower, and then just have that extra option, whether it be for a fusion summon or if you need that extra monster for a Link summon. It definitely does help for sure. I also run 2 Terraforming. This is to search out the Prank Kids place at 2 on the ban list, but still very, very helpful just for grabbing that card. This deck has so much search and special summon, so just having this option available to you for your search is definitely a great bonus for sure. And I also run 3 Called by the Grave, now fresh off the ban list. Had it at 2 in the last profile, 3 now. With all these search and special summoning you can do, hand traps are a definite enemy, especially when you attempt to activate your Prank Kid monster effects. They can either Ghost Ogre, Effect Veiler, and then just ruin your plan right then and there. Called by the Grave definitely does come in handy for sure. With all the search and plays you can do opening up this card and just main decking it overall are a definite opinion of mine that you definitely should do for the deck. And I also run 1 Upstart Goblin just for the additional draw power to get through everything I need. With all the sifting through the deck that I can do, I definitely like to rely on this card for sure. And lastly, I run 2 Prank Kids Plan. This is the trap card that just can basically set up your plays for your Prank Kid monsters with the graveyard effect, and then just being able to immediately after this effect resolves Link summon your monsters is another helpful effect for sure, just making use of your other monsters in the play. But the graveyard effect, where you can minus your opponent's attack by shuffling back Prank Kids cards, is also very helpful. I might bump it down to 1. You don't really need to. If I were to do that, I would take out 1 and put in the 3rd Prank Kids Prank as the card I talked about to run 3 of in this deck. If you like the 2 Prank Kids Prank and decide to keep the 2 plan in, that's fine. The ratio numbers can depend just on, you know, what you want for the deck as well. That's just what I would prefer if I did have a 3rd Prank. And that is it for the main deck. When I move on to the extra, I run 2 Prank Kids Rocket Ride. It needs 2 Prank Kid monsters to make it. If this card is fusion summon, you can have this card lose 1,000 attack this turn. Also, it can attack directly this turn, and you can tribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kid non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard. Special summon them, but they cannot attack this turn. You can only use the effect of Rocket Ride once per turn. It's very helpful just because this effect resolves on your turn for the special summon, so you can make full use of the special summon then to go into a Link summon, let's say, and then just the attack directly is an added bonus for sure. but it's a real card you can rely on during your turn just to extend into some other plays. Most of the time, if I can get this Fusion Summon off and then just to get the Special Summon back, if I had to use Prank Kids from my hand, just being able to do that and then, you know, go for a Link Summon to get searches for what I may need definitely does help for sure in the deck. And I also run 2 Prank Kids Weather Washer. Now this is the one that you can rely on your opponent's turn. If your Prank Kids monster attacks your opponent, cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, which is very helpful when you go for your attacks. But during your opponent's turn, it's a quick effect until the end. You can tribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kid non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard. Special summon them, they cannot be destroyed by battle. This turn, you can only activate the effect of Weather Washer once per turn. But it's a great protection tactic if your opponent's going for an attack, being able to special summon them out and they can't be destroyed by battle as well. I love the Weather Washer for also just setting up my field with Prank Kid monsters, then attacking with them, and my opponent can't activate anything until the end of the damage step. Really cuts into a lot of their plays for sure. I also run 1 Prank Kids Battle Butler. This is the one that you can use by tributing it to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And if it's in your possession and sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card, you can target 1 non-fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can only use this effect once per turn. You need Lampsies, Dropsies, and Fansies to make this card. So just a one of, because when you can get it off, it's good. But if you use the destruction effect, it doesn't really leave you with any other pluses unless you obviously get your Prank Kid monsters special summons off with the Fusion Summon, which you can rely on them afterwards if you make this in your extra monster zone to tribute this out and free up your zone for more special summons. And for the Link monsters, I run 3 Prank Kids Doodle Doodle Doo. This one needs 2 Prank Kid monsters to make it. If it's Link Summon, you can add 1 Prank Kid Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, and you can tribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kid cards with different names in your graveyard except for Link monsters, add them to your hand, and you can only use each effect of Dodo Doodle Doo once per turn. Very, very helpful working with Fansies for the send effect, and then being able to tribute this card to add back that card you sent if you use Fansies for the Link Summon, and the fact that this card adds a Prank Kid Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, you can grab the Fusion Spell, whatever you need. Doodle Doodle Doo is a definite 3 of, because I'm always going into this card just to get off those plays for sure. Very, very helpful. And then during your opponent's turn, 2 Bow Wow Bark, just 2 Prank Kid monsters, and a Prank Kid monster this card points to, gains 1,000 attack. So with place, you can hit big numbers with this card for sure. And it has the tribute effect to add back during your opponent's turn to add them back to your hand. And then Prank Kid cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So another good protection tactic if you comboed with Weather Washer, just to make a very big shield that they can't get over, or hard to hit one for sure. I also run 1 Prank Kids Rip Roar and Roaster. This is the one that destroys all their spell and traps by tributing this card as a quick effect. So another one helpful to take care of back row for sure. And as the same one, you can target 1 of your cards in your graveyard except the Link monster to add it to your hand. So basically the opposite of Battle Butler, but still very helpful for the recycling and the destruction. So I like to run 1 of that as well. And for the generic Link monsters, I run 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, and 1 Borreload Dragon to finish off the extra deck. I don't go into these as much as just the Prank Kid cards, but I like to have other options available to me. Let's say if I have King of the Swamps or Ash Blossom and still need answers to make big monsters to go into. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm very happy to be able to do an update with this deck, and definitely look forward to using it at locals for sure. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.